Hello everybody, it's Antti here and this is the Beyond Testing show. Welcome to our studio in the heart of Helsinki, Finland.
Hello, this is Sami and welcome to Beyond Testing show. Today's topic is the confessions of a tester, the biggest mistakes we've done in our career.
Wow. Should we toss a coin to figure out who goes first? You're I'm getting a bit of chills here.
Yeah. And what can we tell?
Quickly, rock, scissors. What's the game called? Rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah.
Yeah. On one. Shit. You go first.
Cool. Yeah. Well, as we talked before the camera started rolling, we have both been taken from an assignment. We have kicked out from an assignment.
So we've gotten fired.
Yeah, fired.
Probably more than once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we are big personalities, and that might have an impact on. But the biggest that comes to my mind is when I didn't consider the context, the maturity level of the customer, and I brought too advanced approach to them. Too much of what they didn't know. The familiarity index was way too low.
Yeah.
And
so you tried pushing new testing ideas and new ideas of how the process should go and stuff like that. Yeah.
Because I saw the problems. I was arrogant and of course you have to do it like this or you are wrong.
You don't know what you're doing.
Yeah,
I know what to do.
I'm the professional.
Exactly.
Yeah. Of course that was a bit exaggerated, but my approaches were too different from what they have had, and that's me failing. And it's ironically because I'm a context-driven tester, and I always consider context because the value of any approach is given by the context it is applied into.
Were you really a context-driven tester back then, or has that evolved later on?
That's a really good question because I don't remember the pivotal point, but I think I've always tried to be. Yeah. Because early ages I heard the community of context-driven testing, and I try to respect, but somehow I still forget the importance of remembering the context,
exactly.
The maturity level what you're entering.
Sorry to interrupt you, but there may be some people in the audience who don't actually know what the context-driven testing approach actually means. So can we just quickly sum it up before we proceed?
Yeah, I think it's involving people like James Bach and Kem Kainer and the likes. They created a community where you consider context above all when you're testing. And
so does it mean context of the business and context of stakeholders?
Overall,
and stuff like that? Yeah.
Overall, because
that drives our decisions as testers.
Yeah. And my approach on approaching the context.
Yeah.
Torta po torta. Map out the maturity in different levels.
Yeah.
What kind of models do you have? Are you in waterfalls or are you more flowy?
Exactly.
And what kind of tools and knowledge and how you are led and what's the culture in company? And I try to map those out before ranting
understanding all of the context.
Exactly.
That's great. But back to the story.
I failed to consider context. I brought too advanced, not agile. It has suffered an inflation, that word, but more I tried to go more into flowy situation. They didn't know that much about development practices or just basic computer science and that kind of stuff. And I assumed that they would because they had developed already all kinds of stuff, but they were more administrative roles so too advanced stuff there. And it didn't resonate at all. I saw when I ran trainings, I saw in their eyes, no, this is not working. Get me out of here now. And I tried everything, but after 1 month, and it's quite short assignment, they send a message to my boss that
you don't need to come anymore.
Yeah, but ironically,
Sorry, I'm laughing here, but yeah, I'm
Well,
going to share a
I'm
similar
too-
story
I'm
soon.
too.
Yeah.
But a year after,
Yeah.
they had started implementing on.
What you were telling them.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So my way of doing that was
Yeah.
just wrong.
Yeah, I've noticed that like a lot of times, like when you approach, you know what to do and like what's the smart move. It's the hard part is to actually get the point across. And like if you put your fist here in the middle of us and we put our fists together, and now why are you pushing back? Because like I was pushing you and you started immediately pushing back.
Yeah.
And that's like the idea, because like when you push those ideas on the team, they are going to push back.
Yeah.
So the big trick is to figure out how can I make the people in the team come up with your idea as their own. And they had come up with your idea as their own a year later. But you didn't get the benefit like of celebrating that together with them because there was the pushback.
Yeah.
So and you also have done martial arts and you know the principle of like pushback.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's what usually happens. That's actually what happened for me as well in my like one of the career disasters, because like it's one of them. There are many of those in the background. Are there some kind of lessons that you like in hindsight you reflected on them and learned something about that?
Yeah. Listen more.
Yeah.
We have 2 eyes, 2 ears, and 1 mouth, and we should use them as in proportion.
Yeah, exactly.
So learn more in the beginning, because for instance, if you're a consultant and you go to a new assignment, I will start next Monday a new assignment.
Wow.
That's a opportunity to make an impact. So you start doing things and impressing
Excited
people.
about the
stuff.
I'm
Even
gonna change everything.
even though you should listen and learn.
Yeah.
So that was probably the biggest mistake in that assignment.
Sounds to me like it's the evolution of the context-driven like philosophy that's like slowly happened since that time and now.
Yeah.
It's going to be a totally different game. And I hear from your like later career, like as the QA, like head of QA at OK and stuff like that. So I hear like lots of testimonials where they tell that you are the guy who like actually tries to understand the context. So
yeah, absolutely.
So it's totally different like game today.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I've hit my head in the sharp corners too many times. So
that's the best way to learn, I would say. Yeah. So my story goes like it goes way back, like early days of my testing career. I was like a young tester, like this eager young tester guy, wanting to show like my skills, something similar to also yours. And like I got this opportunity of like being like this QA lead in this like large scale global project, and we were actually developing. It was not a Nokia project, but a mobile phone development project, anyways. And we were developing this awesome like new state of the art phone that was like that was supposed to remove the keyboard from the phone. It was like touch screen, all screen.
Ooh.
It was awesome. The world had never seen something like that before, and it was like, yeah, this is state of the art. I want to do this. And I got this opportunity to be the QA lead because the previous QA lead left, and I did not know why. So I was there like eager to prove myself as a QA lead. I wanted to do everything right. So I went to like learn everything about QA processes and get the certificates and everything. And the project was like we were following this V model kind of approach where everything that you specified had to appear in test cases, stuff like that. Yeah. And I think it was like 6, maybe 12 months into the project. I was like doing everything right. We had huge test specifications and test cases and stuff like that. And we were running them and we had this KPI of 98% of like this feature area had to pass, be green to like be acceptable. Yeah. And there was one feature area called the haptic feedback. When you tap the screen, it vibrates.
Yeah.
And our CTO came to visit the office, and we were supposed to demonstrate our new like state-of-the-art device to the CTO. and in this like demo session, we were like showing how the gallery application works by swiping. And the haptic feedback was perfectly specified, and it was specified that within one event of the screen, within like certain amount of milliseconds, it's gonna vibrate on the level 1. So it was like perfectly specified and perfectly implemented according to the V model. And based on the specification, the test cases were passing on a 97.6%. So we were almost like done with the feature. Yeah. Now, what happens on the screen? Like when you swipe your finger across the screen, is there going to be one or several like events on the screen? Several.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what happens when I swipe? Is it going to be one vibration or
Many.
Exactly.
Many.
So there was our CTO. you noticed what was coming. So there was our CTO swiping, and the device turned into a vibrator in his hand. And it was like eternal loop bug at the same time there. And it was like vibrating. It was like dildo in his hand. He was like tossing it onto the table, and it was like gently vibrating and turning on the table. And it was like awkward silence there, and just the vibration on the table. And it was like, yeah, what are we gonna do? And luckily there was one tester at the left side of the CTO who knew how to hardware reset the device, and we just like the silent grew even deeper. and the CTO obviously had been in these kinds of situations before. He said, "Yeah, carry on, guys." And we left off from the demo and carried on with our work. But about a month later, we heard that this product development project is going to be terminated, and you guys are getting fired. So you don't need to come on Monday.
Okay.
So it was a bad product. It was a bad quality product that we had been developing, even though we did everything right. And according to the process, because we were not focusing on the business actual value to the users, but we were focusing on what we were specifying. So that's how I got fired the first time from my very first QA leads assignment.
Yeah, that's probably, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's not probably because of turning it into a vibrator, but there was something more down the line.
Yeah, there was something more, exactly, because like the vibrator thingy revealed, it was the tip of the iceberg, because we as testers, we knew that the system it really sucked. It was not good, even though our specifications and our KPIs were showing that it was like becoming better. It was like all green and everything was like celebration, so we knew it sucked, and we tried to tell people that it sucks, but like everybody was just looking at those Excel sheets and stuff like that, and basically nothing helped there until the shit hit the fan, in a sense.
I have a heuristic for evaluating that kind of product when you're a demo.
Cool.
Because usually, it's a mental model. I measure the pride you have when you demo your product. If you're like hunched like this, and
we were all like waiting for the disaster to happen when we're demoing the product.
Don't break, please.
And you broke down. Exactly. Yeah, that's a great heuristic.
If you wish that it wouldn't break, then you have deeper problems there.
It's true.
And you have to start looking into your processes and culture and that kind of stuff. So
obviously our project was not Apple, so it's like it was another US manufacturer of mobile devices back then. But I think like the big thing that I later on, when I reflected on that, like lessons learned about the getting fired and like the disaster, because like I was the QA lead, and I was supposed to be like somehow influencing the business decisions about how we should do the development and what are the what is it when it's good to use, But I was not able to do that, and I think like the big thing was that for too long we were like obsessed about doing things right by the process instead of doing the right things to get a high quality product out to the market. So like focusing on a totally wrong thing, focusing on the process instead of the product. And that was the big one. And the question is, did we know as testers that it's gonna suck? We knew, but another skill that we like really hard time I was lacking and our team was lacking, like I would have to say I was the number one who was lacking the skill. I lacked the skill to actually explain the situation to the leaders of the project in a way that they would actually wake up, and they would actually wake up from the illusion of having great product and actually focusing on like what can we do to save this. And I didn't have the skills to explain this to others, and that's why I still blame myself about that like huge mistake. But
I started wondering whether there was anything you could do. Did you have the mandate from the beginning.
Probably
to do
not.
Something.
Probably not. And if I don't have the mandate, like later on, I've learned that like you really don't always need the mandate.
Yeah.
If you have information and you can present it in an influential way.
Yeah,
so it's testing in quality overall. If you're thinking yourself as quality engineer or whatever, it's always about leadership without the title. So you don't need the title to actually influence other people. And it's not telling that your product sucks, it's going to be the pushback situation. It's going to be like the art of influence. That's why I say that for a lot of people in testing, the next thing you should actually be learning is the art of influence, because it's only the changes based on your work that happen in the product and in the organization that actually make the quality. You don't make the quality as a tester. You only influence the people's decisions to make quality. So testing is an influencer profession, I would say.
Absolutely. And I love the approach. And Jerry Weinberg once said that you don't have to be a boss to be a leader.
Yeah.
So that you can show example on how things are done well, and how to have a positive impact on quality as a tester or a QA person or whatnot. And that also relates to the other episode we talked about, the skills you need. So the skills to influence positively.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Leadership without a title. I just love the idea.
Yeah.
So if we were to wrap up here, like these like stories of our like mistakes and the lessons there, for the audience, something like that you may actually jot down in your notebook and like think about like maybe next week or whatever. What advice would you like give yourself or me here? Like if we were to recap somehow, like some practical advice.
Well, I've been beating myself with remember the context. Always like the readiness.
Yeah.
Read
and
the
beating
audience.
yourself with remembering the context, exactly.
So remember
to beat yourself.
I didn't say that.
But that's what Sami said.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. But just respect the context and read the audience. Because that helps you create the impact we were talking about, and the importance of creating that impact.
Yeah,
that cannot be stressed enough.
Yeah. So first of all, reading the audience, understanding the context, but then doing something with that understanding.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that like boil down to actually two things. Reading the context and understanding, and then doing something with it through your skill of influencing others.
Yeah.
So like if you were to like develop two skills, a skill of asking questions, figure out better questions that you can ask from people, and then when you get some kinds of answers, then you may use them in trying to like incept those ideas so that they will get your ideas as their own.
Yeah, and you can also test your ideas that way. So you get feedback whether your ideas are good.
Yeah.
And like back and forth.
Yeah. And now if I were watching this episode, I would ask, so how can I influence? Maybe we have to do another episode about influence just like by itself. But yeah, you can actually learn it. And like, I would like recommend that start with, for example, a book called Talk Like TED, like TED Talks, about TED Talks.
Cool.
So how do you construct a talk like TED? And that was a phenomenal book. So find that and read it, and you are way, way above the rest in your skill of influence if you start applying it. Okay, ask better questions and read the book.
Cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's the time to wrap up this episode. If there at any point you have questions that you want to ask me or Sami that we could actually address in future episode, please don't hesitate to post them to us via, for example, social media or in the comments field below. I'm not sure if the comments field is always below. Remember the context. But hey, remember to tap the subscribe button as well. Take care and see you on the future episodes.